So we're doing an unboxing today. I don't know if I'll get into building it. It's got a QR code for assembly instructions. Not that it's gonna be hard, but I don't feel like messing with it right now. I'm a little under the weather. But we're gonna do the unboxing part. And I don't know, maybe I'll end up doing it and piecing it together. But this is for the MPA DS9 LOC, and it goes for the LOC version 1 and the version 2. So this is the full kit, and you can get this from MPA Pistols website. But it's Big Dog Steel that makes it, so it's a BDS Carnivore competition holster. So you guys can see it's fully sealed. So let's go ahead and open this up, as these crazy cats are clawing at me from behind. All right, cat, go over there. All right, so let's see what's in here. All right, so we got some hardware. Some male adapters, female adapters, and then some screws there. Like some stickers, some card, some blue Loctite. This looks like it's going to be the thigh pad. A little circular thigh pad goes in the back of the holster itself. And this is the full kit. So you got some spacers and the BDS hanger with the belt attachment. And that's it there. Doesn't look like it would be hard to put together. I've never had to put together a holster per se. I mean, I guess screws and stuff. But let's go ahead and see what we got. Let's check out the holster itself. So here's the holster. And it's real thick, bulky. Real meaty holster. So if some of you guys, it doesn't weigh a ton. As a matter of fact, let me see. Let's see how much it weighs. I know some of you guys are into lightweight and weight and all that. This is coming in at 6.3 ounces, so not too bad. It feels light to the hand, to the touch, or whatever. Like, I know it looks bulky, but it's pretty light material. Doesn't weigh that much. I didn't want to go with the race style holster with the magnet. Just kind of, I'm a bigger guy, so my gut, when I move around or lean over, it kind of pushes against the gun. So I would hate for my gut to accidentally knock it off the magnet or something like that. So I wanted to go with a closed holster. And this one does have the lock retention here, so you can lock it, unlock it, and you can see here, I'll zoom in, this is unlocked and it is stiff, so when you lock it, looks like it locks it in place right there. So I definitely can see that, grabbing on there and then it not moving in place. That is sturdy, very sturdy. So let's check out the hanger. This is some thick plastic, man. I don't even want to use my teeth. I'm not gonna open the screws just yet. I don't know if I'm gonna put this together right now. I'll probably look at the instructions and all that they supply before you attempt to mount it. Please watch this short video. Failure to follow these instructions will void a warranty. So I don't want to mess anything up or anything like that. So I'm not gonna install it till I look at their video. But as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. It looks like your spacers are gonna go here, depending how wide you want it. And here's a smaller one, and then of course it looks like you'll just mount it wherever you'd like here on the hanger. This is the different spacers you're going to get with it. So essentially, again, it's going to go here, and then you're going to use all that hardware depending on the height that you want it. And then if you're using the thigh pad, I'm assuming this is going to go from the back here somewhere, maybe. I don't know, maybe I will do the video. I'll have to check it out and see how all this works. I think this one goes this way, right? I've never had one that had a thigh pad, so that's why. But really good holster, real sturdy. I'm still waiting for my screws for the optic, and I can really start using this bad boy. But yeah, so it looks like it's a nice tight fit, super tight. So I'm not gonna like that unless they're well, it's got a retention screw here maybe, but it's like it catches on without even locking it. So maybe getting some use out of it will loosen that up some. I am a little worried about that. It's kind of super tight there, but we shall see. So if you lock it in place, I don't know, maybe I guess I got to put it together before I can actually use it. Yeah, so it's kind of, okay, well, there it goes. So this is open, And you see it's still kind of tight, so I'm gonna have to look at that. Maybe it's something you got to do to it before. I'm not super familiar, but this is gonna be nice. So it has space for your thumb rest there. It doesn't hit or knock there. And then I guess when you lock this in place, it's gonna grab the front of the trigger guard, this little knob that's inside of here, or notch, whatever you want to call it. So once you lock that, that's gonna come here in front, and it's not gonna allow you to disengage this gun out of there. And this is a heavy gun. I think it was 51 ounces. So running around on a magnet and then with a big guy knocking it, you know, loose or something, I would hate for that to happen. So that's kind of why I wanted to go with a full covered holster. So let me check out the instructions before I mess anything up, and then we'll see. But this is a tight fit, so I'm wondering if there's some adjustments that we need to do before. So we'll be back. All right, guys. So after half a day of research, I think I figured this out. I'll talk about what was confusing to me and something that kind of BDS, I don't want to say they left out because their videos are a little old, but they just haven't updated. So they give you this QR code that takes you to some video, and then there's also this QR code that takes you to another video. One of them is like a year old, the other one is like 10 months old or something like that. These V2s just released not too long ago, after those videos were obviously made. As my wife likes to point out, I'm a super literal person, so it comes to videos as well. Like, I want to see the instructions for this specific holster in case there's any little differences or nuances that make this one the install a little different. So of course the two that they're showing you, one is for MMP and I think the other one was for a Shadow 2, was kind of confusing me, because if you watch those videos, they're like, oh, you got to get these, and they send you the same exact screws, which that does help. So one of the videos is like, when you put the screw in here, this is how you can tell the proper length. You know, you drop it, grab your calipers, and then you measure when you put the binding barrel on there, you measure like 0.2 or 0.4 depending, and that tells you what spacer you need. But it looks like this one, all those holsters, I noticed the ones in their video are kind of like cut halfway here. It's real thin, and this is a much bulkier piece. So that's kind of what threw me off a little bit. And it's like, man, no way do they want me to add an additional spacer here or anything like that. And I think it was Ryan. Ryan did actually email pretty fast. And he kind of said these kind of do come built in with the spacer already, which I'm assuming is this bulkiness back here. And then he would get back to me today with the exact screws. He hasn't responded yet, but I didn't send a follow-up email. I just kind of watched their videos over and over until I finally kind of understood what they were trying to explain. It just would make it easier if they had a video for the LOC, or at least this new LOC 2011 one. So in their video, what they're saying is, when you find your proper fitment, is you put a screw in there, get your binding barrel, what they're calling these binding barrels, and just hand tight it without putting a hanger on, and then you'll see how much space, like when you hand tight it, it'll stop. And it's basically saying, you want, whether you put spacers or not, you still want about 0.2 of a gap right here of when your binding barrel stops hand tightening, to have space for your hanger. So as you see here, this one, let me go ahead and show you, and I'm using the longer screws they send, which they only send 2 sets of screws and 3 sets of these binding barrels, which is a little more confusing too. But I'm using the longer ones, the 5/8, and when I put that through, this is where I was getting confused, like, oh crap, well, the screw's not even popping up. The longest binding barrel that they supply that doesn't have matching screws, because I guess it's because in the video they have these as well. It just depends if you end up using these 2 spacers, you're going to need this. But again, they made this bulkier, so you're going to hand tighten this, and you want to put pressure on the back of the screw, so that way as you're tightening it, it's not pushing the screw out. So I'm just using the little Allen key they provided, and this is how I was test fitting what I was going to use. So there it is, it's already hand tight. It's not going to get any tighter, you know, not that much tighter. And this is where they're saying you want to measure this gap, and that kind of tells you whether you can use additional spacers. And otherwise, if you have too much of a gap, then it's not really going to be tightening down on your hanger, and it's going to be loose. So this one, if I tighten this a little bit more, you can see that it only has enough space for the hanger. So I can't even add the skinniest spacer, which I don't want to, but you see, because then it would be tightening to this. So that tells you if you're good or not. So I figured that out kind of watching both videos several times, explaining how they're looking at that. I just wish somebody would have said, or in the package saying, hey, these are bulkier. They already kind of built in with the spacer in here. So I wouldn't be like, okay, because I'm going to use one of these. It's going to make it really bulky, and none of this works. And if you watch their videos, they say if you're going to mount the holster directly to the hanger without using a spacer, you need to buy additional hardware. And I was like, what the hell? I just bought this complete kit. Now I got to buy more hardware, because technically this is not a spacer. These are... Nowhere does it say, hey, this is a built-in spacer. So the video kind of brings me to the conclusion that I need to buy additional hardware. But again, after watching what they were saying, explaining this, I kind of had to come to that conclusion myself. And maybe I'm just slow. Maybe someone else will pick it up faster than me. I don't know. But I just felt like it should have just been explained better out of the box. So I'm going to start with this first one. And again, I'm using the 5/8 screws with the long binding barrels. And again, I'm using something to push the screw down. And we're going to get this first one going so you guys can kind of see that there's not going to be any space. There we go. I think I was just turning and turning. And then so about right there, looks like I'm going to need the screwdriver. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And this is just a Phillips. So there I can feel that it's putting pressure on the hanger and actually still leaving a slight gap. So maybe I do need the shorter one, because even this one is too long and it's not really, yeah, I feel like that's not gonna go all the way in there. So maybe let's try the second ones, because this isn't working as well. It's not grasping onto the hanger. So again, I wish they had some better instructions for these new holsters. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this. That should be enough there. Not quite yet. They said otherwise you're going to have problems later. That could be the problem I'm having now. But this screw now is just kind of turning in there. But let me go ahead and put some pressure on that screw so it's not turning. There we go. That we're only twisting the binding barrel. So let's try the 5/8, since I'm using the 5/8 screws. I think those are going to be, here we go, these here. And I think these will be perfect, because they're going to grasp on and they're going to tighten up on the hanger. Whereas the longer binding barrels here were just too long and not even grasping on the hanger tight enough. There we go. So there it's tightening to the hanger. As you can see, it's causing friction there, so that's perfect. And then they said you want to do these to about 10 pounds. I'm going to wait. I'm just going to hand tighten right now. And then on their videos, you see that the third screw is actually up here, and you have to remove this to get to the screw. So in these newer versions, I'll see if I can zoom in, they're actually lower. So you don't necessarily have to take that off. Again, using the 5/8 screw, I think I can get this one. If not, they did have a helpful tip about using needle nose pliers and just kind of grabbing the lip of the screw. I may have to do that with that third one that's way in there. I have kind of big fingers, fat hands, right? Fat tactical, so I may not be able to reach that one. But this one looks like I can reach it with no problem. And so we're gonna go ahead and get this one going. And again, I'm using the 5/8 carriage bolts with the 5/8 binding barrels. And I may have to stick this through there again to kind of seat that in there. I don't think it's seated in there properly. I don't think the screw's falling through all the way. That might have gone a little deeper. Let's see. Let's get it out of there. So, okay. Let's try to get that to fall in place a little better. I think that's seated a little deeper than the first time. Could be wrong, but let's see. All right, so now I'm going to put a little pressure on that screw there. So as I start tightening down, it doesn't push the screw back out. I think that should be good. And then you want to check the back, make sure it's aligned properly. And Let's see if that'll grasp in there. Maybe I don't have it aligned correctly. I kind of felt that drop in a little bit better. There we go. And hopefully I'm on camera. So you got to put some pressure on the screw, otherwise as you start forcing this, it's going to throw your screw back. So I think I'm going to have a little bit of an issue with that third one since it's so low. And again, I'm just hand tightening. I'll do the 10 pounds here in a second. But as you can see, as we're going, and I decided to go kind of in the mid level here, 2 down, 2 up. And if I don't like it, you can just back these screws out and go up or down, make your adjustments. So let's see how easy this last one is going to be. So I'm not using any spacers. Okay, I see the hole is way down here. So I'm going to go ahead and get some. I don't think I even have needle nose pliers. I got something like it. These all I have to do. I don't think I have my needle nose pliers here. So needle nose pliers, something real sharp. Hold the rim of that screw, and then that way you can just kind of reach in there and drop it. So now, there we go. That completely fell through. We're gonna use the short part of the Allen keys, drop that in there, put that same pressure, and I'm gonna stick my finger in there, kind of holding that down. And I can see it here, and we're gonna go ahead and put that other 5/8 binding barrel in there. And that's hand tight. I'll do the 10 pounds here in a second. Remember, again, it should be, they recommend 10 pounds. I don't think I'm gonna run the thigh pad unless I need to. I don't need the spacers. This retention screw, as you can see, there's no thumb retention here because it has a lock. But this is in case you want to change this top screw here that pretty much tightens the most onto your belt. That you can easily take it off and on if you want to. But again, this is a lot bigger, so depending on your draw, I don't know if you're gonna be able, if you're gonna hit that, scratch that. So I'm gonna probably leave this low profile. I don't really remove my hangers or my holsters from my competition belts. I like to just kind of find what I like to shoot and then, you know, stay with it. But if for some reason I find myself taking it off and on, I may switch this to the thumb retention screw just to make it easier to get this middle one off and kind of relieve some of that pressure, so that way I can get this off and on easier on my belt. And so right now it's in the unlocked position. I did notice that it's a little rough. If you don't put it in all the way, it's slightly rough on the draw. Like if you really get it in there, it kind of gets a little stuck. And let me see. And it looks like I'm having an issue with this screw right here. Interesting. So maybe I have to have a spacer because now the thumb rest is hitting that screw there. So I may have to use the .2 with that larger binding barrel, because as you can see, the thumb rest is now hitting this screw and not allowing it to seat in there. Interesting. So definitely would prefer some more instructions, and good thing I didn't torque these down. We're gonna go with the .02 now. And let's try, and I'm matching these grooves here. I'm assuming that's what they're there for. And let's go with the easiest one, which was this corner one here. Still gonna stick with in the middle. Let's get that started here. And this should give us enough space to tighten, catch the screw, and for the thumb rest to clear that screw there in the middle. Okay, I can see that it caught the screw there, but I'm gonna go ahead and put some pressure, and then let's go ahead and tighten all this. And I got screws falling everywhere now. That's okay. And our last binding barrel, and that should be it. So just trial and error. Again, once you understand the principle of it, not super hard to figure out, but again, it does take you some time to figure it out. If they could just have had some easier instructions instead of these do-all instructions that don't necessarily apply to these. So there we go. You have to use, if you're buying this new V2 holster with a really thick bulky side, you're gonna have to use the 0.2 spacer or 0.02. I'm not sure, but I'll put it up there, because it was not clearing this screw right here. It was the thumb rest was banging on it and hanging on it there. So I mean, I don't really care about scratching. This is gonna get all scratched up in competition. But see, now using that 0.02, it's clearing now. So now it's seating all the way. And what I did notice is, see how there, it's not even locked and it's super tight. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to do some filing or maybe just some oiling, or with use, it's a little hard to get out. And the reason being, if you don't put any pressure and just drop it down, it still gets kind of stuck. And I'm assuming because of the weight. Let me get it back in there. See, I'm just letting it go. When you try to lock, you see this gap here? So the lock is like super tough. So I noticed you have to close that gap all the way in order for this to lock to function perfect. See how much easier that went down? And then of course, that's not coming out. But because I had to force this down to make contact and open this space, now when I unlock it, see that? Definitely a no-no in competition. So I don't know, with use, a couple practice draws, yeah, it's unlocked. And look at this, my veins are popping out. So to me, that's not a no-go. I'm gonna get wear all over this, which again, it's not a big deal. It's for competition, but I would think if these are designed for this pistol, it should be a little better fit than that. Maybe with this review, they can give me some tips. I'll send it to them. They can see some of the issues and maybe just give me some pointers. It may be a wear kind of thing, but see, it's not even locked. And again, I'm sideways, so I'm not even putting pressure. And it's like taking a little bit of force to come out. Because if you don't apply force and you try to lock this, and I'm shaking because it doesn't go all the way down. So you have to put force, push it down. Now it locks. But when you unlock it, which is tough, it is stuck in there. So I'll send them this video. Maybe they'll tell me I need to file some things down or put some oil or something. I don't know, or maybe just wear and tear. It'll loosen up on its own. So couple issues there. Wish it was ready to go out of the box, easier to install, and I wish I wasn't having this tight friction issue going on. So again, even like the button just to engage is super tight, and there it's locked. I do like that when it's locked, but when you take it off, it's unlocked. It still doesn't come out, and it's a 3-pound gun. Like, see my look, there's my hand, and then there's the force. So again, if you just barely leave it in there, it'll come out. But again, if you just leave it in there, can't see. If you just drop it and don't put pressure, then your lock becomes useless, because just setting it in there does not close that trigger guard gap that they need, again, for this to low down. So I don't know, but that's how you put it together. I can't get it out. Should be the first one with this out there as far as YouTube goes. Hopefully I help some people out. Hopefully now they've seen this video and give me some pointers on solving that friction issue. Appreciate you guys. To the next one.